Okay, so today's session is going to be about how does nutrition play into your goals, okay? So who has developed their goal so far? There's a few hands up. Just I want to see who has their goal, who's still thinking about their goal. Okay, it's fine if you don't have your goal set up yet, all right? But you'll be able to take what we're talking about today, okay? Whose goal is more performance-based in nature, okay? Whose goal is more body composition focused in nature, okay? Perfect, and we'll get into a little bit about that, all right? But we're gonna go over in general how to approach your goals, all right? Basically, we're gonna talk about how nutrition plays into your goals. And I think even if your goal is more body composition focused, you guys at the end of the day still care about performance because you're not just, people have lost weight, eating less, maybe just going out and walking a little bit more. And there's nothing wrong with that approach, but you guys are still in here, right? Going through some challenging workouts that will help you get to those body composition goals, but yet also you're gonna be a better performer, better able to do things outside the gym as well. And I always think it's good to tie in that performance-based goal or have that performance goal in mind as well, because I think it's a lot easier to eat right when you know, okay, how does this play in my goals? And specifically, if I'm trying to, we'll hang on that Spartan example, right? I'm running the Spartan, okay? Even if you're trying to look like an athlete, which would be a body composition goal, if you train like an athlete, eat like an athlete, right? You look like an athlete. So again, I think performance is a huge piece, even if it's more body composition based, because I think it just keeps you in a better headspace, all right? Body composition goals are fine, but if they're your only goals, I think it's really easy to burn out, okay? So we're gonna kind of attack today how nutrition plays in your goals more from that performance side, but if I neglect to answer any of those body composition ones, then for sure just ask the question and stop me as you go. You don't have to wait till then. I'll try to make this as interactive as I can. All right. So what are some thoughts on how, big picture, what does nutrition do? How does nutrition play into our goals? And think performance goals for right now, okay? So how does nutrition help us achieve those goals? Just shout it out.
Gives you energy.
Okay, gives you energy, it's fuel, awesome, perfect, okay? We got energy.
Helps us recover better.
Recovery, perfect, huge one right there.
Build lean muscle.
Build lean muscle, okay, excellent. I'm gonna put that into recovery as well, but you're exactly right. Get with the specifics. What else we got? Just keep them.
It just helps me push harder.
Helps you push harder, okay. Fuel, perfect. I'm able to push harder in the workout. What else do we have? Anything? I'm trying to think of the ones that I had. I think you guys hit them all. I had fuel, recovery, right, supporting our activity levels. All right, so let's go into recovery first, because I think when we think about how nutrition fuels us, if we recover properly, that's the first step. If you recover properly, you have the fuel for your next workout, basically, unless you're doing crazy things. But we live in America, eating enough is not an issue for us, okay? So it's about how do we recover from our one workout, like today's workout, how do we recover, set ourselves up for energy for the next workout. All right, so I like to break it down into when we think about recovery, or just, in general, fueling our workouts, the three macronutrients, which are carbs, protein, fat, all right? All right, which two are most critical for recovery? Who has thoughts? Or who thinks one? Maybe it's just one. What do you think which of the three do you think is most critical for recovery? Protein, okay. Any disagreements? We're gonna talk a lot about carbs as well, okay? Fats are an important, very important macronutrient, okay? But when recovery, the big ones that you wanna focus in are proteins and carbs, all right? And I almost think the carbs are more important, all right? There's this window. What happens when we work out is there's an optimal 2-hour window, all right, where basically your body uses glycogen, which is like the stored energy. It's like stored sugar basically in the muscle, and you burn through that when you do high intensity workout, okay? And then to refuel it, you've got this 2 hour window, but basically the sooner the better. So like even if it's after 2 hours, right? The sooner the better, right? This optimal window where, it's a very simple example. If we just eat carbs and you haven't worked out at all, okay? Typically what happens is, if you don't need them for energy right then and there, or you don't have to refuel, your burned energy stores, the body will probably, if it's caloric excess, they're gonna get stored as fat, right? Whereas post-workout, the body's gonna use those starches and those carbs to refuel the energy that you spent from the muscle. So that's really, again, if we think recovery, especially a lot of you guys work out back-to-back days, right? Or you did today's workout and you're gonna go do something this evening or tomorrow, right? So, you'll notice some days, even when you eat right, if you did a very, very strenuous workout Monday, do you guys still feel like a little off on Tuesday? Right? You don't have that energy, right? Who's ever taken like maybe a vacation, or you've just taken a recovery week, and then you go do something active and you're like, oh my goodness, I'm like crushing it. Has that ever happened to someone? That's happened to me. It's like, because we're beating the body up, and it's recovering, but then when it gets that extended period to recover, it's like, oh my goodness, like when maybe it's like playing soccer, playing a sport, and you're like, I am crushing it. Yeah, the body's had enough time to like completely recover, right? It still has those training effects from what you've been doing. All right, so recovery is that big piece, and carbs are huge. Protein is right there along with it, okay? Because again, especially when we're doing strength-based stuff, and the carbs are important for the strength-based stuff as well, but when we break down the lean tissue, we gotta build it back up, okay? I'm not gonna get into the numbers yet. I'll get into all the numbers at the end of the workout, but for right now, just realize, okay, earn your carbs. Today's workout, those of you that were here today, you earned your carbs, okay? So, and just kind of like, eat a good amount. And I can get into some specific amounts, but honestly, I don't measure carbs. I don't know how many of you would. Just realize like you can eat, a higher amount and let's talk, we'll get into that as well. Quality is important, but a lot of quality carbs. Don't just go be like banging down a bowl of cereal. All right, but yeah, and then your protein as well. And usually protein, like, a protein shake is good enough. Maybe it's like 3-4 ounces of lean protein. Like, don't worry so much about the protein. With the carbs, same thing. We can get into some quantities later, but just get them in that 2 hour window. Get yourself some carbs. Get yourself some good protein. Question, Emily?
You just answered it.
Oh, I just answered it. Okay, and I'll get into the numbers so you have them. Do we actually end up using them all that much? Again, if you're like an Olympic athlete, yeah, you're gonna be dialed in. For us, we probably don't need to know the exact numbers. Yes, ma'am.
This may not be a very appropriate question, but I don't particularly I want to burn the fat
Right.
on my body.
Right.
I kind of don't feel like I need to eat after a workout because I want to burn.
For sure. Okay.
So,
I had you hang on to one question. I want you to hang on to that question. All right. Well, I'll answer it a little bit right now, probably. Okay. If you don't get enough recovery, what was the other big purpose of nutrition that we talked about? Fuel, right? Okay. So if you're not eating enough post-workout, you're not gonna be, like when you work out Monday night, okay? You crush it, you do a hard workout, okay? You're like, because sometimes you don't feel all that hungry after a workout, or you're just like, I don't wanna refuel. Okay, let's say you make that choice. Your body is not gonna be able to push hard enough on Tuesday, right? And it's been shown that without like proper recovery, like on its own, like you can push your recovery back to like 48, 72 hours. Even when you're eating right, you're looking at like 24 to 48 to get like full, like basically recharging of the muscles, even when you're doing things right? It takes time for the body to heal. So if you don't optimize your post-workout nutrition, you're holding yourself back from future workouts, okay? This is a very common thing, and we'll get into it maybe a little bit later here, but I'll mention it now, and you guys help me to remember so I don't forget. Like, I think some of us, and not us in this classroom, but just in general, I think many people do not eat enough to support their activity level. Like some of the leanest, most fit people that I've seen, men and women, right? Very, very active, and they eat a lot to support that activity level. okay? So this is like, and again, everybody is different, right? So what works for them may not work for you, but the science backs up that you should eat enough to support your activity and support recovery, okay? So recovery, proteins, and the carbs, okay? As far as fuel goes, now let's touch on the fuel part. That's where a lot of the common, like which macronutrient is best for fuel? What do you think? Carbs, okay? Any disagreements? That's the common knowledge that has been going around for years and years and years and years, okay? I think the pendulum has shifted too far the other way now, but there's a little bit of truth in everything, right? Keto, everyone hear of that, okay? Yeah, I mean, and we've got a good, like very high performing cyclist at 6 a.m. who's doing, I don't know if he's doing full keto, but he's eating a lot of fats, all right? That's doing very well for him, okay? I think the truth lies somewhere in the middle. Fats are important, okay? There's a lot more calories per gram of fat than there are in carbs, okay? So it's a good fuel source. We store fat in our bodies. That's a good fuel source to draw from. What I've seen in practice a ton, and there's some research to support it, but in practice I've seen it a lot, is if we dial back our carbs to a more like balanced, like basically in your daily diet, you eat about equal percentages, carbs, proteins, fats, okay? And again, we don't have to dial in exact percentage, but roughly equal amounts of all three macronutrients versus a high carb diet, which probably a lot of you have heard, like if you're an endurance athlete, you should eat way high carbs, 67% of your calories from carbs, okay? But let's say everything's equal, the body gets more effective. Fat adapted is a term that's out there. So the body like basically learns, like if you're always giving it carbs, that's kind of what the body's used to burning, all right? If you eat more fats, eat more healthy fats in your diet, the body gets used to eating those or using that as fuel. So then you can either have, like some fats before his bike ride, or just in general, his body's like he's eating more fat, he's used to burning fat for fuel, so his stored fat can be utilized more efficiently by his body as well for energy, okay? And he's not like getting these high spikes in his blood sugar with carbs. So again, and maybe everybody is different. Maybe there's some elite athletes that can go ketogenic, which is like eating, like no carbs at all. I think the balance is somewhere in the middle of, it doesn't need to be high carb, it need to be high fat. Let's get a balance, right, and be able to utilize everything. But fat is a good fuel source for activity, right? So and it's something that's a little slower digesting. So if you eat it like evening workout people, I got a lot of evening workout people here. That's really good. Get some healthy fats as a snack or at lunch, right? 5 a.m., right? First thing in the morning. When people come in, some of them do stuff on an empty stomach, right? But again, to your point, you're not going to be able to push as hard. I've seen people come in and all they like, I just have like a small piece of fruit, okay? Good, but like we need to get something a little bit slower digesting in there as well that your body can draw from further on as well, okay? So that's the fuel, that's the recovery piece, okay? Questions so far on any of that? All right. The next thing I want to talk about when we think about how nutrition plays into your goals is quality, not quantity, all right? And what I mean by that is like shift your mindset into what foods am I eating, not how much am I eating, okay? You've heard me say this before, but when you eat, and I'll qualify it because I know there's a few people in here that have some different approaches, and that's fine. Everybody is different. But I think for most people that I've worked with, when you do this style of workout, if you eat the right foods, right, your body will self-regulate, okay? Like, you can eat way too, you can eat way too much stuff that comes in a package, right? You go through a bag of chips like nothing, right? Even nuts and seeds, like healthy foods, but at the same time, like you could probably put down an entire 2 cups of pistachios without thinking about it, right? But are you really gonna eat 3 avocados, 5 avocados? It's hard. Are you really gonna go through like 4 chicken breasts in one sitting? You know what I mean? Are you really gonna eat 10 cups of broccoli? You know what I mean? So like, if the quality of the food is there, right? my dinner, chicken breast, sweet potato, not my dinner, but if your dinner is chicken breast, sweet potato, and your vegetables, right? Like eat until you're full, right? If you go through, your half chicken breast and your half sweet potato and the vegetables that you roasted up or whatever, and you're still hungry, keep eating, right? Your body pushed through a hard workout that day, keep eating, right? But again, that's why I say the quality is important. And it's not just like per meal. I mean, yes, that's important, but like in general, right? We send our bodies bad signals when we eat poor quality foods, all right? So if, like who did the Whole30, right? It's actually a pretty good, I mean, it's a little, but I mean like if you add in some things like rice, right? Like is white rice really inflammatory? No, okay? So if we add some common sense things and maybe have a little bit of balance, with it and not be like, I have to do this for 30 days. But like the general thing, like eat lean protein, eat starchy vegetables, eat your potatoes, have some rice in there. I know that's not Whole30. Eat your vegetables, have some nuts, have some seeds, your avocado, like those are all healthy foods, right? I mean, like you go online and you read like how angry people are at the Whole30 and it's like, unless you have like gut issues and you can't do that, like it's pretty balanced diet, you know what I mean? I mean, cutting out bread, that's probably not the worst thing. Getting rid of flour, again, I think like the balance component is the biggest thing, but if like that makes up, if you're eating like the Whole30, like, 80% of the time, like that's a decent diet. Like you could be a bodybuilder and eat like that. You could be trying to lose weight and eat like that. These are good general approaches because it's the quality of the foods that you're eating, right? And again, you'll notice they don't really talk a lot about quantity in the Whole30, right? Eat till you're full. Don't eat again until you're hungry, right? So listen to your cues, but that's where, eating healthy fats, eating carbs that have good fiber in them so we stay satiated longer versus the typical American diet, which is simple sugars. You spike your blood sugar up. Well, now I'm hungry again, your blood sugar spikes and it crashes. Now I'm hungry again, so I eat more, right? But when the quality is good, you have to be less concerned about quantity. And it does come into play, right? But I think not as much as we would think off the bat. So try to shift your mindset, quality, not quantity. And then if it's not working for you and you feel like you need a food log or you need to track calories, right? Then go down that path. But I think too many people start with tracking calories. You're gonna get burned out with that. It's not long-term sustainable for most of us, okay? Maybe we can do it for a little bit. So again, they skip that whole learning about the quality of the foods, right? So do that first, and everyone's gonna have different quality foods. I mean, we have those general guidelines, but I know some people have different food allergies and stuff, right? But then once you've tracked that, then you shift into the quantity. The quantities amount, all right? Questions with that? Nothing? All common sense? So we all have the knowledge. It's just a matter of implementing. All right, well, we can get into some implementation then as well. But before that, all right, what was your question, Christy? At the very beginning of?
That it was kind of answered it. It was about counting calories and why
Okay.
that wasn't something that you should be focused on. But you answered it.
Yeah. Did I answer it? Why? So Christy's question was counting calories, right?
Why shouldn't we track that? Like, we found out from the DEXA scan, this is what your body will burn at its resting rate.
Right.
Add, I don't know, I think she said 500 or something to it, or maybe more.
Yeah.
For working out and stuff, but you should always still be a deficit if you're wanting to lean out. Is this accurate?
Right. Exactly.
So that's where I was getting confused.
Yeah. So Christy's asking about, how many calories should you eat? With my resting metabolic rate is 1,500 calories a day, right? How much do I add for activity? That approach can work. Tracking your calories can work. And there's some guesswork because you have an estimate of what your resting metabolic rate is. But like, the problem is we all think we're way more active than we are, unless you're doing because who's really active at work? Okay, exactly, right? Like, I'm probably the most active at work, and it's because I stand and walk a little bit. Like, that's still not super high active, okay? So if you're maybe doing 212, 4 to 5 times a week, and you're doing like crazy bike rides and hikes another 4 to 5 days a week, you know what I mean? Like this is like now you're pushing that high activity level. So you can't, I really say if you get on the food logging apps, ignore the calories that they give you. Like, oh, you earned this many calories. Ignore that. Like you just got to play around with some numbers on your own, to Christy's point, right? And you can do that. So you can say, okay, if my estimated RMR is 1,500, so maybe I want to be eating, like 10 to 13 is a general goal, calories per pound body weight. Like 10's pretty on the low, like pretty low end, right? Some of us, if you're pretty high active, 15 calories and you could be per pound body weight, basically, and still be losing. So you can go put that into your app and track your calories and see where you're at, and that can work for you. Like I'm not saying it doesn't, but I still want you to shift into, because long-term sustainability, like that's hard to do. Tracking calories sucks. I've never even done it, right? That's how much, but I just know, like sitting in there, like I've done a little bit because I take you guys through it. Like it is not fun. It's not fun. Like you're not gonna do that for the rest of your life. So a better way to focus in on is like, try to get in tune with your body and understand like, if I eat the right quality of foods, I can eat when I'm hungry, eat until I'm full, and don't eat again until I'm hungry again, right? But you can only use that approach. When you're eating good quality foods, which means like don't eat processed stuff. If you're eating processed stuff and you eat when you're hungry and you eat till you're full, you're gonna be fat, because those foods are meant to keep you eating and they're meant to not get you full. So that rule goes out the window. So if we can focus on quality, not quantity first, and then get into, and then if you want to play around with calories for a little bit, just to kind of like dial it in and see where you're at, sure, right? And again, 10 to 15, baseline starting point, you do it for a couple weeks, and if you're not losing weight, then, adjust it accordingly. Maybe you're losing too much weight or you're losing too much muscle mass, adjust accordingly. Are there any other specific examples you guys want to get into as far as how does nutrition play into your goals? Did I sufficiently answer your question, Julie, about not wanting to? So Julie's question was, trying to lose fat, so I don't want to eat a lot after workout. So more examples onto her point is the optimal time to eat most of your calories is pre and post workout, okay? Now, when you start working out, it's very easy to put on muscle and burn fat at the same time, okay? And the research supports that as you get further advanced, like you really can only do one at a time, all right? So I don't know how skewed my results are. Maybe there are exceptions, but I've seen people go through the Nourish program, the nutrition program I do, and go up to the bod pod, and they've been lifting for a while, and they still can hit, not always, but some people can still hit both, even more advanced, right? And I think of how they do that is timing, okay? And I still think timing's easier. Like I'm trying to make, we want to make things as simple and as easy as possible, right? I think timing really isn't all that hard. I think it's way easier than counting calories, okay? And timing, what that means is most of your calories should come before and after you work out. That's it. So that's when so what I would say for you, now Julie works out in the evening, so this is a little bit different. That's a little bit of a challenge. I think you still should work out in the evening. I'm gonna say don't work out in the evening. Breakfast is a very important meal of the day, right? Break fast, right? So it should be a fast. So that's, think of when you try to get like 12 hours is a good goal. Think of that. So when you eat in the evening, okay. So still eat breakfast. Breakfast has been shown to be a very important meal for weight loss, okay? But, maybe it's not as big of a breakfast as someone who works out in the morning. But get your breakfast in, have a decent lunch. I don't know if you eat a snack before you work out, okay? But you want to get some calories before you work out, and then push the majority of your calories after you work out. Because again, the body is using those carbs that you are eating to rebuild, not to store as fat, but to rebuild the muscle or the energy stores that you've lost from working out, all right? And then the protein is going to help, support, rebuild the lean muscle so that you are getting that benefit as well. So, if you work out in the morning, okay, so a little bit pre-workout, as much as you've determined you need to be able to push hard in a workout, and then big breakfast. Morning, people, big breakfast. Like that should be your biggest meal of the day. And it's hard, right? But just as much as you can. And then a big lunch, right? If you can't get a big breakfast, then a big lunch, okay? And then a smaller dinner. Because again, you've put all your calories, you've packed them in to recover from your workout. Okay, so then yeah, you still need to eat, and if you're really hungry at the end of the day because it was a crusher workout, then listen to your body. But generally, if you work out in the morning, big breakfast, a little bit smaller of a lunch, and dinner would be your smallest meal of the day. All right, so I don't think timing's too crazy. Just stack it around your workouts. All right, and on the days that you don't work out, listen to your body. You know what I mean? You probably can cut down a little bit. You didn't work out, you don't need as much recovery fuel. So that's that. All right. So you guys, who's mind's blown and who's like, I kind of already knew all this, right? So who already kind of knew all this, that's fine. Throw your hand up. Okay, perfect. So, and the rest of some of you guys are also saying implementation, right? So what do you feel the biggest challenge is implementing these things for your goals? I just want one person. Let's go through one example.
Work schedule.
Work schedule?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I can't, sometimes I can't eat when I'm hungry. And sometimes
Okay.
I am starving.
Okay.
And, I'm in surgery.
All right. So this is a great example of we talked about being fat adapted, right? So what you can do, Julie, is basically, when you know that, so when does work start for you?
Well, generally about 8 most days, but then on Wednesdays, I'm there at 6:30 in the morning.
Okay. So when let's say your workday starts at 8, what I would do is just assume okay, from 8 to 5, I might not eat at all. Okay. So what I would do in that case, right? Prep the night prior, big, huge breakfast. What macronutrients do you think she needs to have a lot of if she's not going to eat from?
Protein and fat.
Still not hearing it.
Oh my gosh.
Fat. I'd eat a ton of fats because again, a lot more calories. Okay. You feel a lot more satiated, okay? Get your carbs in, high fiber carbs, but yeah, and then maybe you pack some high fat snack, like an avocado, like something for lunch that again, very, very high in calories that you can get through, quickly and get you, burn long enough to get you through your next time, the opportunity that you will have to eat. So what about for you, Kylie?
I had it and I forgot it. I think still prepackaged
Okay. Okay.
is still a challenge for me.
For sure. So I think, and then again, it gets back into what we were talking about Wednesday. So you have the knowledge, maybe we can fine tune things a little bit, right? But now we know how the nutrition plays into those goals. And it's, again, stepping that back and being like, okay, where are my challenges? What habits do I need to build to attack those challenges? So now we have that good concept there for those. So awesome. Well, that's all I have for you guys today. If any questions do come up, just let me know. Keep utilizing the Facebook group. I mean, I'll try to put more stuff in there to keep facilitating the discussions. But honestly, just if you have a challenge like that, if you're not, and I don't see why you would be embarrassed to share that, Julie. Just put that in the Facebook group because I guarantee you're not the only one